Welcome back to Frank's Model Aviation Workshop. This will be episode 28 in the Top Flight 60 size P-40E Warhawk build. This episode we get to mount the wing to the fuselage. We're going to install the fin and stabilizer, get them all set up and all lined up. Hopefully by the end of this video here, the complete airframe will be put together and ready to final sand, I'm hoping. I've still got the belly pan to put on the bottom of the wing. We'll do that when it calls for it. And we got to finish the bottom of the fuselage. So that should all be in this episode. Don't quote me on that, but we're going to try. So anyway, if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of new episodes. And like and share my videos. And let's get to this thing. Okay, first things first, I need some scrap, 1/64 or 1/32 plywood for, the wing saddle area. So I went ahead and I cut these pieces out. This is to make the wing fillet, or the fuselage fillet, I should say, for the wing. But it's way off on these one pieces. There are two pieces you got to tape together. It's way off on this one, so I'm going to make these match identically. I've got everything else lined up and taped together. So I'm going to make this match. I'm going to go ahead and take my flaps off, my ailerons off. I went ahead and I tucked in all my aileron servo and all my air hoses and flap strings. They're all tucked into the center of the wing so I can easily access them later. But I'm going to take all that off and get my 1/64 or 1/32, whatever it is. I think it's 1/32 plywood scrap that I need to mount the wing to the fuselage. So I'll get that going and then I'll get back with you. Okay, I got my two identical fuselage fillets, bases, I guess you call them. This is the one that's in two pieces you have to tape together. I basically just stuck them together. And these two pieces up here were identical. These two pieces were a little bit off, so I got them all cut and sanded to their perfect shape. And now we have to mount the wing to the fuselage, and I'll get set up to do that. I took some scrap, 1/32, I guess, ply for the wings. You have to tape them to the wing like that, just so you have that space whenever you go to, put that wing fillet in, or the fuselage fillet. You'll have that extra space for the to mount the wing up. There won't be any binding. So we'll get set up to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I stripped everything off the fuselage, the engine, and all that stuff, and I got it to where I'm just gonna place these. I'm gonna kind of like set this one here, or I might just mount the wing on, slide these under the fuselage, and then tape them to the wing, because to get these to balance and put the wing on, it's gonna be impossible. So I'm gonna get the wing, put it in there, and we'll slide these in. And sometimes you have to adjust that hole in former, I think it's F3, just so that you won't have a bind when you put these 1/32 or 1/64. I think it's 1/32 ply in between the wing and the fuse. So let me get the wing. This will be the first time the wing has been put on the fuselage, so hopefully it goes on without a hitch. Okay. There that is now. It's pretty centered. I'm going to go ahead and put one of these under. Actually, I don't even think I need to put them under if there's no binding. We'll see. Pretty decent fit, actually. Double checking. All this is for is to line up the wings so you can drill your holes. All right. Okay. There's that. I'm going to go ahead and tape those to the wing temporarily, and then we'll measure for the alignment before we drill. Okay, so in order to prep for the wing alignment, I have to put this block in here, mark the center line, and stick a T-pin down in, tie a string to it, and run it from here to here, and from here to over there. So I'll get set up for that. I'm going to draw this line using my magic clear ruler. This thing is indispensable. And we'll get that center, get the T-pin, get my string ready, and then I'll be back with the measurement. Center line measured. And I'll stick a T-pin right in there somewhere on that center line. Not sure if it needs a exact, I'll look at the plan or the instructions, but I think you just stick anywhere on that center line would work. So we'll see. I'll get back with you. Okay, instructions just showed it about a 1/4 inch back on there. So I tied it to there. I can't get that down in any further, so I kind of angled the pin back a little bit. So when I go in and yank on it like that, it's not going to ride up the pin, you know, so it'll stay low. So once I get my string cut to length, I'll get back with you. Got to get a piece of tape on it too to mark. Okay, I don't know of a better way of doing this than putting you right there and be doing the string technique. I can bring you in and show you where the tape lies on the corner here in the ailerons, but to walk around with the camera, it would be dizzy. So what I'll do is I'll measure and bring you in and show you where it goes on the ailerons. And might have to make a little adjustment on this leading edge, either the leading edge or the firewall. I don't think I'm going to be able to do much on the firewall, so might have to adjust the right side to get it to line up perfectly. So I'll do some measurements and I'll show you how I do it. So you take your string, got my knot there, and I put a piece of tape on it so you can mark where you're at in the corner of the aileron. So it'd be nice if you had your pen with you. And you just take your tape, and I pull it not real tight, just to take the slack out, and then just mark your tape in the corner where it hits. So it's just taking the slack out. I got my mark, so go around to the other side, make sure you're not caught on anything, and check your measurement on this side. Alright, so I'm a little bit off, so I'm going to pull the wing in just a little bit. Go back around. You just got to keep going back around, back and forth until you get the adjustments made. Just by looking at this, right there is centered. Yeah, right there is pretty dang close to what I need. So I'll have to make adjustments to that leading edge, like I said. Yeah, right there is perfect. Now what you want to do is you don't want to twist this line any, either this way or that way, because by twisting it tight, it'll shorten the line, and loosening those strands, it'll make it longer. So you want to make sure you do not twist that as you're making these measurements. So now that I know that that is where I need to be, I'm going to make a slight adjustment on this side of the edge, or this side of the leading edge, so that when I pull it tight, it's flush on the front and still maintains my measurements. So I'm going to go ahead and make those adjustments, and then we'll come back and make another measurement. So that's what I was doing. Basically, that mark there is where I was at. That's the left wing. And that mark there is the right wing. That's how I'm going to show you. I'm not going to carry the camera with me to make these measurements because it's just dizzying. So we'll just do it like that. Okay, so what I had to do, I had to make a little bit of adjustments right here where it rounds to where it fits in that saddle better. And by doing that, I got my measurements perfect. So that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and set up to drill the wing holes to mount the wing on. Okay, so what we got to do, got to run the drill down, get it started through here, through both holes, and then we'll take the wing off and complete it. That way, when you're drilling, the drill doesn't go through and smash through your sheeting. So I'll get them started, and then we'll take the tape off, remove the wing, and finish it up. Alright, I will remove this tape and get this wing out of the way. one. Alright, this one here didn't turn out as neat because I felt the drill move, so hopefully it still lines up. So now we gotta break out the 1/4 tap, tap these two holes, try out the nylon bolts, and I'm gonna harden the threads with thin CA, and then I'll run the tap down through again. All right, we'll start with this one. That other one looks like hammered dog crap, so I hope that the wing will stay bolted to the plane while it's flying. Only time will tell. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to tap this hole. There we go. Alright, because there's nothing I can do about what I got here, I'm going to go ahead and thin CA those threads and retap them. Try to keep the CA off of your skin. Hopefully it didn't touch it. Alright. Let that set up a little bit, and then I'll come in and tap. See that hole? That's about halfway through that block, and then I got some taper, or then I got some threads in here. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, so off camera, I went ahead and thin CA'd the threads on those wing blocks and let it dry, and then ran my 1/4 tap down through again to harden those threads up. Right now I have the wing mounted with the nylon screws that come with the kit, and I got my holes nice and neatly sanded with a Dremel drum. And I think I'm going to leave it just like that, even with fiberglass. I did make little balsa wood tubes to glue down in there, but I ain't going to worry about that because they're not perfectly 90 down inside there, so I'm not going to do it. So I'll bring you in, show you what I have, Next thing we're going to be doing is mounting the stab and fin. So let me show you what these look like, and then we'll get to mounting those. So there's the holes and the screws. As you can see, they're not perfectly 90, so that's why I'm not doing the balsa tubes, which kind of stinks. I kind of like that idea, but it'll bind up against them probably, and it'll be too hard to center them up in there, so I'm not going to do it. Anyway, let's get on to mounting this fin and stabilizer. Looking pretty good, isn't she? Well, for the stabilizer mounting, I'm going to keep this wing mounted so I can adjust if I have to line up with the wing. It'll make it easier to do it that way. You know, the wing's bolted up tight to the fuse, and we'll mount the stabilizer and get her lined up, and then put the fin on, and then we'll move on to the next step, which is, I believe, finishing up the bottom of the fuselage. Okay, I got the fin and stabilizer sitting on here for a minute. I've got some trimming to do on the top of the stabilizer on the fin. You know, the sheeting where they had you leave a 1/2 inch extra. So I'm going to trim it to close to V1, and we'll get that mounted up. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. It says contour the fin sheeting. So the way I do that is you take your stab and set it up against it, basically. You know, you want to keep it at 90. And I just draw a pen line down the edge on both sides, cut to the pen line, and just keep doing that until it fits right. Okay, so I brought out my cutting mat, and you probably can see why. It's got lines at 90s. So that way you can line up your fin at 90 and line your stab at 90. And I have the tips on the center of one line. I got my fin here on the center at one line. So that way when I go to draw my line, I'm not crooked. You know, if you're like angled and you draw your line, well, guess what? You're gonna have one short, one long, and you won't be lined up. So I'm using these weights to keep my stabilizers as stabilized as it can be. And I'm just gonna hold that fin bottom right here. Well, you can't see it, but there's the plate that goes down into here. And then I'm just gonna draw my line along the edge there with a pen. So I just wanted to show you what I was talking about. That stabilizer tip is on the line, and so is that one. I'm lined up here and up there. So we're all square, 90. So I'm gonna do my pen trick. You put that up against, and you run your pen along the edge there. And as long as you're parallel with the sheeting, you'll get close. Where all you need is a little bit of sanding maybe. But basically the way this is set up is the fin and the stabilizer are 90 degrees from the table. They're flat, and that's the way they'll set on the back of the plane. So I'll get my pen and we'll get going. Okay, I already drew my line on the other side, so I'm just going to try to match it up with this one. I'm just laying the pen on the side of the airfoil there. I'll make sure it's right over here. Okay, now before I cut that, I'll bring you over here and show you. There's the right side. And there's the left side. And they're setting flat on the table. So as you can see, my original cuts were off because there's a lot of gap there and none right there. So this should get me really close. Then we can use some sandpaper to get closer, but I'm probably gonna have to do this or do these lines a couple times because it's got to be close to the stabilizer. The V1 has to be close to the stabilizer. Okay, I put a new blade in my X-Acto, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this on this side and on the other side. Then we'll do a test fit to see how it looks on the stabilizer. I'm going to leave the line. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to leave that line, and I think I said I put a new blade in the X-Acto. All right, we'll do this side now. This is one thing you want to take your time with because it's what's going to make or break the finish. Sanding this side because I didn't go as far to the line as I did on the other one. And we'll see what it looks like. Make sure I'm lined up. Okay, so now I've got interference on the stab here, so I'm gonna trim out some. So I've got the same gap on either side. Now I got to work on this part here. But I want to make sure I trim this right. Make sure you're not setting on anything. I probably am closer than I thought because I was setting on a dang piece of balsa. Always double check your alignments. Yeah, look at that. That's almost perfect. Okay, that is perfectly 90, and you can see there's hardly any gap there. As you can see, the pen trick is what you want to do. Same gap, still lined up, still on center. And I'll check my fin, see where I'm at, and then we'll might have to take some more off. Okay, I'm probably just gonna do the pen trick where you hold your finger and you guide it along and do an 1/8 inch. I'm gonna take probably another 3/32 off of that, and I should be right where I need to be. So let me see if I can do that. See, I'm using my finger to guide it. That'll get me close there. Do the same thing over here. And then we'll cut that. That should be good for that. Once again, I'm going to leave the line. I'm cutting like a 64th on the other side of that line. Okay, you see my setup here. I got my weights here, and I weighted down the trailing edge piece. I'm thinking about putting a couple weights on either side here. I don't think I have enough. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do, I know a lot of you guys don't have access to the weights, but as long as I can use them, I'm gonna use them. So I'm just basically gonna put that along there, make sure it stays 90. And I'm just gonna do this mess. And you know, you want to stop and check it every now and then. Make sure you're still lined up. That is really close. Still 90. And there comes a time you feel like, yeah, is that enough? It's not coming off anymore over there. Okay. I'm gonna call that enough for now. We'll test fit it on the fuse, take a measurement. It should be, I think, 5 1/8 from the notch in the tip of the fin to the center line on the stab. So we'll see what it looks like. Trying not to ding up my sheeting. So we'll put that on there. All right, so let's see what this looks like. All right, well, I can see an issue right now already. I went ahead and did this part right here before I did this cut. But you can see that is no gap at all. So it looks pretty decent. So on the plan, with the fin up against the stabilizer, from this point in the fin should be 5 1/2 inches to that center line. Now this line here
is not centered to that. This, I don't know why I did that. Maybe for the hinges, I don't know. But I'll show you 5 1/8. There's 5 1/8. It's just a shy above this line, which the center line on this is just shy of this line. So I've got my dimension. That is absolutely perfect. So I'm happy with it. It's straight, 90 degrees. And now I'm going to address that gap before I go any further. I want to deal with that because, you know, it bothers me. So that's up against the former, or the, you know, the stabilizer crutch. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this stuff off, cut this out, and I'm gonna put in like a little block to go up against that. All right, so there's the little block that I put in, sanded it to shape. Now I'm gonna redraw that center line here and get my fin lined up, and we'll sand out the right notch. I'm gonna start by extending this center line. Wish this table wasn't so high I can't focus. Now when a pen don't work, use a marker. Trying to get this perfect. Good enough. So now what I'm going to do to sand that, I'm going to just take that sandpaper. Yeah, that might not work like that. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Try it. Not going to work. All right, so I'm going to go the other route. We'll just use this rasp tool. Keep an eye on that angle. So that's the angle I'm going to go at. I'll keep that close. And just kind of on the center line. Get them out of the way so I can concentrate. What I'm doing is matching up the other balsa around it. Now I'll cut that. So I'm going to start by doing that. Okay, that'll get me a good start. Let's see what it looks like now. You just got to keep keep trying it and checking it and trying it and checking it. See, that's going to be a lot better. So I'm just going to keep going at it with this. Try to do it with it on. I don't want to remove too much material. Otherwise I gotta fix it again. And I did. Dang it. There's nothing I hate worse than having to skive in a piece of balsa to hide a mistake, so. But at least you get to see it on camera. That'll tell you that I'm not perfect. None of my stuff is perfect. It's always imperfect to me. Anyway, let's get back to fitting up this fin and rudder, or fin and stabilizer. So now, I definitely don't have any room whatsoever to fit that up, so I'm just going to slowly Now I lost my center line too, so I don't know where that thing went. There's a somewhere around there. Still got some marks on there on the turtle deck. Honestly, I don't even think that's centered. It ain't. So I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna act like these two things are gonna guide me to the center. There's two stringers. And we'll just work on that. Okay, so we're there. Now I just need to take just a little bit more. Not much. I don't mind a little gap. Something that is easy to fill with epoxy. But a big gap bothers me. Let's try that. That is almost daggum perfect. Just adjusting that a little bit to it sets good. Oh, I got a ways to go yet. Let's pull that back a little bit. Gonna make a mark so I don't go past it. I'm gonna leave the line as usual. All right. I think we're almost there. I'm gonna go to the line now. It'll be a long video. I wish I wouldn't have put that line there. It's fooling me. See what this looks like. I think I still need to go a little bit more. Maybe. I don't think so. I think I'm good there. That is El Perfecto. And I'm gonna have to look underneath. Okay, I flipped it over and I looked underneath and I need to go forward just a hair. So here we go again. Let's just take that line just a little bit. All right, let's try that out. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over one more time, or maybe I'll just lift it up. Dang, I can't see it. I think that's it. I'm gonna turn it over just to make sure. Just so you know what I'm looking at. Right in here where that rudder part goes in, I'm trying to get that gap there closed. It's close, but it's not quite there, so that's what I'm working on. I just need a hair is all I need. Not trying to take any more off. Good thing I didn't need that. think. I'm just going to take a little more off. And then rebuild this thing. Alright, if that didn't do it, I'm going to be happy with what I got, because I'm having to redo it again. Oh crap. What a break. That's it. I got her. Luckily I didn't break anything. I just undid the glue joint of that trailing edge plywood. That'll be easy to fix. Okay, so now that we got that established, we are ready to glue up. I'll make sure I got my 5 1/8. I know I said 5 1/2 at one time, was wrong. 5 1/8, and I do. Okay, now I'm going to clean up this bench a little bit, and then we'll get ready to glue on that stab. Okay, the next step is to glue the fin to the stabilizer. I'm going to do that on my cutting mat with a piece of wax paper down, and I'm going to align it just like I aligned it when I was cutting this curve. So we'll get set up to do that, use this 30-minute epoxy, and we'll get this glued together and move on from there. Okay, here's my setup for gluing up my fin to my stabilizer. I got my 90 like I did when I went to trim these off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove these, or move them back, and take the stabilizer off. As you can see, I drew a line on either side of the fin, so I know how to line it up when I get it on there. I'll just line that up, and then move these back into place, and let that cure till 30 minutes, I guess it'll be cured. But we're gonna get set up to do that. And I'm gonna put it on the stabilizer with a popsicle stick. I'll just smear it on the edges. So I'll mix up some epoxy and we'll get going. It's probably gonna not take a whole lot of epoxy, but these bottles it only registered like 5 grams. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the 5 and 5. Have to throw away some. I'll try it. All right, that'll work. Try to keep this stuff off my hands. I don't want to get it on the balsa. All right. This will be interesting. All right, let's try to do that. For added measure, I'm just gonna put a piece of tape across here to hold it. And I'm gonna take a little bit of 16th and clean up any edge there. All right, we'll let that set half an hour, and I'll be back with you. Well, we got the fin epoxied to the stabilizer. Next step is to CA the fuselage sheeting to the rudder post. And to do that, I'm going to flip the plane over. While it's flipped over, I'm going to take the wing off because we're done with that for now. And proceed to sheet or finish up the bottom of the fuselage. That'll be the next part after we CA this rudder post. Alrighty, let's get her done. Well, I lied. I forgot we have to epoxy the stabilizer fin assembly to the crutch. Then CA the sheeting to the rudder post. So let's do that then. Okay, before we get started epoxying this assembly on, I'm going to reinstall it. Turn the airplane upside down and draw a line where the fuselage sides are on the back side here. And then I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put tape on that line. So when I go to epoxy this and I glue it on, I don't have epoxy smeared all over the bottom of this thing. I can peel that tape off. I'll have a nice clean stabilizer. So let's get started doing that. Okay, so we'll reinstall this. Flip the plane. Being careful not to bang it on anything. Get the pen and marker up. sure you got it where you need it. I'm just going to go ahead and put the tape on now. I got one heck of a gap over here for some reason. It'll all be filled in. Okay. Now we're going to pop epoxy. One reason I have the wing on right now is because I was wanting to align my stabilizer up at the wing while it was mounted. So let's set this up and we'll fold these ends over so it'll be easier to take off later. So once again, we're going to mix up some more epoxy, and I'm just going to spread it along this former and the top here. Split. All right, we'll mix her up and put it on. Using epoxy is not my favorite thing. I don't know why you just can't CA that on there. Every other plane I built, you just CA it. Okay. Now we'll try to put this on without getting epoxy all over the place. All right. Once again, I'm going to take the /16 and go along that edge, clean it up a little bit. Okay, it's still straight. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take that tape off. See that epoxy on that? And I think I might try, I don't know if I can or not, but I might just weight it down. There we go. All right, I guess I can run the CA down through here and clamp that. And we'll rubber clamp it. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work down there too. All right, so let's get the CA out and fix that while we're at it. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to squeeze some CA down in here. Oops, sorry about that. I'm going to do the same down here. You know, plant first. Nothing came out of that thing. Let that set up. Might try and put like a little thin CA down in there. Well, that tape roll really screwed. I guess we'll let that set for a little while. Then we'll come back, then remove the wing and work on the bottom of the fuselage. Well, I think I'm going to call this an episode. We did quite a bit. Got the wing installed, drilled and tapped the wing mounting block holes, installed the stabilizers, fin, got everything lined up square and straight and level. And you know, the stab is lined up with evenly with the wing, and the fin is vertical. And we'll call that good. Next episode, we'll do the bottom of the fuselage. And that should be get us ready to do the fillets. So if you like this type of content, and if you've been with me this long, you must, be sure and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when I upload new episodes. And like and share my videos. I really appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching.